Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. 5 breakout candidates for the Miami Hurricanes heading into the 2024 season. This list comprises of guys that I really liked out of high school that I think is going to make that jump heading into 2024, and also guys that I think have a unique opportunity to really have a massive impact for this Miami Hurricanes program heading into that 2024 season. Extremely excited to get into this one with spring practice rolling around. Like, these are some of the names that I'm keeping my ears to the spring practice notes, listening about the development, the amount of reps that they're getting in practice. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys and a massive shout out to the Miami Hurricane fans. We talk high school recruiting, transfer portal, position breakdowns. You all know this is a program that I absolutely love talking about, and the amount of support you guys have shown the boys truly means a lot. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, for this episode, I have 5 names. I wanted to include a lot more names. Would love to hear some names from you guys in the comment section that are kind of your breakout candidates heading into 2024. I learned a ton from you guys. I love talking ball with you guys in the comment section. So let me know who you guys have for your breakout candidates. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with a player that I absolutely loved out of high school, but more importantly, a position group that Miami needs to get more of out of the 2024 season, and that's that tight end position. And I'm going to go with Riley Williams. This is a player that, coming out of high school, extremely smooth mover for his size, but more importantly, a natural passer, phenomenal hands, can really be explosive after the catch. This is, in my mind, a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties in an offense where you want to get your tight ends involved. You look at what Shannon Dawson, Mario Cristobal want this Miami Hurricanes offense to look like. They want to run the football. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country. It's no secret what they want to do. And when you want to run the football, run with some 12 personnel in the field, you need to have your tight ends being a centerpiece in that passing attack. And you look back to that 2023 year, the tight ends were pretty much non-existent. I was stunned when I was doing this research and looking at the numbers from this Miami Hurricanes tight end room. Only 30 total targets for the tight ends in that 2023 season. There are a lot of tight ends across the country that have 30 plus catches on the year at just one tight end. So you look at just the lack of production from that tight end room, only 150 receiving yards total for that tight end room. That, in my mind, with how Miami wants to run their offense, is straight up unacceptable. You need a tight end to step up, and what better of a guy than Riley Williams, who, again, I just talked about what he can do as a pass catcher, the smooth mover, the natural hands that he has, but he's also a guy that was really good as a true freshman blocking on the line of scrimmage. I think he checks all the boxes that you want in an elite tight end at the college football level in an offense where you need tight end production. Riley Williams, my number 1 breakout candidate. And I'll tell you this, if Riley Williams steps up and becomes that elite matchup nightmare in the middle of the field for Cam Ward, I think that will mean massive things for this Hurricanes offense heading into that 2024 year. The next guy that's in my breakout candidate list, and I have to give the Miami Hurricane fans a huge assist on this one, Ahmad Moten. You guys are consistently letting me know in the comment section how big of fans you guys are of Ahmad Moten. And checking out the film, I mean, year 2 for Ahmad Moten in 2023, you saw some flashes, but you look at what Miami wants on the inside of that defensive line, especially last year. You had some elite pass rushers, guys like Leonard Taylor, guys like Harrison Hunt, but you didn't really have that true nose. Right, I think Ahmad Moten can be one of those guys for the Hurricanes in this 2024 season. Again, Ahmad Moten is not going to be a guy that is necessarily stuffing the stat sheet in terms of tackles for loss and sacks, but he's going to be a guy that sits on double teams, eats up some space, and really allows all that skill and talent around him to really excel. You talk about some of the players that are going to be around Ahmad Moten at the linebacker position, guys like Francis Maui-Noah, Ruben Bain on the defensive line. If you can have a guy that keeps those guys clean, lets them go fly around and make plays, that's going to be massive for defense. And you look across the country at some of the best defenses that you see across the country, right? Georgia, Michigan, they all have these kind of guys that are not necessarily going for 10 plus sacks in a year, but are guys that are integral in how this defense operates Ahmad Moten, you obviously get Clark from NC State. Those are the type of guys that you saw Mario Cristobal want those kind of bodies on the inside. Ahmad Moten going into year 3, that's normally when you see those defensive linemen take that step at the college football level. He's going to be a guy that it's more of a film thing than it is a stat thing. You can't look at the box score and tell Ahmad Moten's impact on the game. But when you watch the film and him winning at the point of attack, eating up double teams, keeping his linebackers free, that is the true value that Ahmad Moten could provide for this Hurricanes defense in 2024. Ahmad Moten, my number 2 breakout candidate. Number 3, and this is a guy that I'm super high on for 2 reasons. One, I loved Isaiah Horton coming out of Tennessee, or coming out of high school in the state of Tennessee. A guy that really good body control, really good size on the boundary. A lot of Miami Hurricane fans were banging the table for Mario Cristobal to go out and get a wide receiver. And to my knowledge, it didn't even look like the Hurricanes were going after a wide receiver in the transfer portal. Now, what does that mean? I think it means that they really like a guy like Isaiah Horton, or they really like a guy like Ray Joseph. But I picked Isaiah Horton because you look at the surrounding wide receivers. You have your separator in Xavier Restrepo. He's going to lead this team in catches. He's going to lead this team in yards. Xavier Restrepo is a true pro's pro in terms of a polished wide receiver, and that connection between Cam Ward is going to be special. You have a guy on Jacoby George who is really good after the catch. Who is your guy that's on the boundary, that is working vertically, that can attack that deeper third? I think it could be a guy like Isaiah Horton. You saw Colby Young kind of emerge as that boundary role in 2023. Didn't quite put it together, a guy that is super talented. I think Isaiah Horton, again, another guy going into year 3, I think could provide that value for the Miami Hurricanes. And again, them not going to the transfer portal and grabbing a wide receiver, I think speaks to what they think of a guy like Isaiah Horton heading into 2024. Super excited about what he can do. Again, maybe not a guy that is going to lead this team in receiving yards, but a guy that ideally defenses have to respect in terms of what he can do down the field, what he can do when that football is in the air, potentially opening up guys like Jacoby George and Xavier Restrepo to really excel over the middle of the field. Isaiah Horton, a guy that I'm extremely excited about. Next guy I want to go to, and a guy that, again, another guy going into year 3 has battled injuries, but if he can stay healthy, Nigel Lee Kelly is a guy that has a ton of juice, and a guy that we knew was a project coming out of high school, was kind of a freak athlete, but not really polished. Has most of that offseason to kind of work it, get healthy, but continue to kind of get that technique, get that pass rush nuance. A guy that checks all the boxes that you want in an edge rusher. Can Nigel Lee Kelly put it together in year 3? You have a couple guys that are coming back from injury that could really have a massive impact on this Hurricanes defensive line. We're talking about how good it was last year. I would have reminded a lot of Miami Hurricane fans, you probably all already know this, but a lot of college football fans who might not know this. I mean, Nigel Lee Kelly was a starter to start the season. A guy like Akeem Mesidor was a guy that was phenomenal in 2022. Both of those guys missed that second half of the season with injury, both coming back. This defensive line was already really good for the Hurricanes in 2023, obviously led by true freshman Ruben Bain. What does this group look like with Nigel Lee Kelly coming back, potentially taking that step? Akeem Mesidor, who I wanted to include as a breakout, but he's already broke out. We know what he can do if he stays healthy. Nigel Lee Kelly, Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, rushing the passer. If all 3 of those guys stay healthy, continue to progress, you're looking at one of the better pass rushing groups in the country, certainly in the ACC. Last guy I want to shout out, and one of my favorite players in terms of the projection here, is DAndre Brown going into his second year. He's a box checker, like 6'2", 200 pounds, physical at the line of scrimmage, can put hands on wide receivers, really fluid for his size and length. This is a guy that you saw some really good play as a true freshman. You saw some growing pains as well. But at the end of the day, you saw him play a lot as a freshman. You saw him continue to get better. What does it look like for DAndre Brown going into year 2? Obviously, his brother transferred out. A lot of Miami Hurricane fans were nervous that DAndre Brown would follow. He stays in the ship. This is a guy that I think has all ACC potential written all over him if he can take that step. And I think there's a void at that boundary cornerback spot. And you have guys like DAndre Brown, Jadias Richard, who transferred in from Vanderbilt, who They have all the length. They have all the talent in the world. Can they put it together, become those all-conference caliber cornerbacks for the Hurricanes? Those are my 5. Couple of guys that I just want to quickly shout out. I want to shout out Ray Joseph, a guy that I think has all the juice in the world. I don't know how much he gets on the field with guys like Jacoby George and Xavier Restrepo in front of him. I want to shout out Chris Johnson at the running back spot, a guy that just has game-changing speed. And I want to give a shout-out to Pancake Honcho, a guy that I don't know if he starts to tackle with guys like Jalen Rivers and Francis Mauigoa, but a guy that I think would be a really good guard if he takes those steps. Obviously, battled injuries. There are a lot of players on this Miami Hurricanes team where you know this roster is already good. What if some of these guys who are going into year 2, year 3, take those steps and become real difference makers for this Miami Hurricanes team? This is a money year for Mario Cristobal. He has all the tools. He has the roster to go out and win an ACC. Many Miami fans know that I picked this team to win the ACC. I think they're the most talented team on paper in this conference. Mario Cristobal needs to put it together. If some of these guys break out in 2024, you're looking at a very fun team in that 2024 year. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.